Hey guys, we'll be on in a couple of minutes. Where's everybody coming from? Do the shout outs from wherever you're coming from. Hey guys, Terence here again with another edition of Let's Talk Reef. Coming to you from my home again here in Gilroy, California. Yeah, I've got the special mask. I took one for myself, digitally, of course. Thought I'd make sure I'd stay safe. I'm going to have Paul on here in a second. I don't want him to virtually give me any COVID-19. But hopefully, all of you are safe out there, doing what you need to do to keep yourself completely separated, like we're doing here. And yeah, see, no mask. It was just all for the fun of it. Because I just wanted to maybe light up Richard Ross to tell me how much I don't need to wear a mask in order to not get COVID-19. I get it. I know it. It's all good. It's just some fun. Okay. So anyway, we're gonna have a little fun here today. We're gonna show you some things maybe you can check out on your apexes to see that you've got to tune up more or less some of the things that you might want to be checking on while you're at home and have a little extra time to be playing with your apex. We're also going to do a little sneak peek, a little I don't know, unplanned uh, peek into some reefing celebrity apexes that myself and Paul happen to have access to. And we're going to go see if we can find some things on their apexes that they probably shouldn't be doing or they may not be doing the way we'd like them to, and kind of use them as an example. And then you can go out and see whether or not you're doing some of those same things and maybe make some changes for yourself. But yeah, everything's going good here at home. All of us from Neptune Systems have been home, pretty much doing our jobs from home for the last, well, week for sure, under orders from the local uh, 6 counties or 7 counties here in the Bay Area. Our offices are closed. We're not shipping anything out from our home office. I've been, I think, an extra 3 or 4 days on top of that I've been here in the house and not really leaving for much. And hopefully you across the country and all you reef keepers out there are doing your thing to help slow down the spread of this so that all of our healthcare workers and whatnot and hospitals can deal with this. Obviously, if you have needs that you have to have met to go outside, by all means. But if you don't, stay inside, keep other people from getting it, and do us all a favor and help out the healthcare system. But with all of that said, we're gonna hop right in. Without further ado, I'm just gonna bring Paul right in here. Hopefully, it's all gonna work the way it's supposed to, and our audio is not gonna have a third week where I've got something or I forget to demute or whatever. But welcome to all of you. I'm looking at all of you here. Some of the usuals: Jason Garcia, Derek Picker, Sean Clark, Matt Dudley. And you're all here. Yeah, Matt, I already had a mask on, man. It was a virtual mask. So anyway, without further ado, and without fish behind him, let's bring Paul in here. Paul, how's it going, man?
Hey, Terrence, how's it going?
Thanks. Keep that over there. Yeah,
You
for
might want to
sure.
get the mask on. No,
Yeah, it's
no, we're
not,
doing all
you know what,
good here.
it's not a laughing matter, but at the same time,
Yeah.
if we don't keep some levity a little bit with being cooped up in our homes,
Hmm.
how could you possibly? You can't be serious completely all the time. It is a serious issue. It's
Hmm.
serious for a lot of people who have to deal with this in themselves and their families, but at the same time, it's like there's
Yeah.
millions of us that are cooped up.
Right. You know, and I mean, I don't want mean to make levity of the situation either. It's just, I think especially too, we've been doing a couple video chats here and there, right? I think you underestimate often how much energy you get from your coworkers. Just being around them, engaging with them, and things like that. It's you take that for granted, certainly. And I have a lot more respect for those people that work for home. I did it for a couple of years, but now that I've been working in the office more often and things like that, I realize how much I need it and how
You
much I love
forget.
it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
worked for quite a while, both for Neptune Systems as well as another company. I think both of them in a row, 3 years in a row, I had worked completely from home. And
Hmm.
it is really hard for other people to understand that too, what it feels like to be
Yeah.
out there completely by yourself. And it seems like an encumbrance sometimes to connect virtually, but you have to do that. So it's another thing. I mean,
Hmm.
this isn't fish related stuff, but definitely with family and friends, use the FaceTime, use the various ways to
Yeah.
stay connected, and do it with your coworkers as well, because having that face-to-face contact is so important, no
Right,
doubt.
right. And I have support agents that work remotely as well, and one thing, it's really kind of put it in perspective for me. I need to be engaging with them on video on a weekly basis, right? It helps us all stay much more connected and everything like that. And in general, just it builds better team unity,
Hmm.
so something we're definitely focused on.
So what are we going
But
to do today, Paul?
yeah, I figured we would kind of go through what we've been doing, how I've been taking care of my reef since, not being able to see the tank as often. I went into the office once so far, right, to get some supplies that I needed. I was there for a couple minutes, and it was essential because I needed to feed the fish and things like that. I do have the automatic feeder set up on there, the AFS,
Plug,
to feed the
plug.
fish. Yeah, well, come on. I mean, we got to be doing our job here, right, sir? Right,
Yes,
Mr. Fugazi.
yes,
So,
yes.
so I had to get to the office, fed him some frozen's, things like that. Got some more supplies for our customers, in terms of ASAP needs, so I can have them here. I can talk a little bit more about that. But in general, just been kind of hunkering down.
Well,
My tank's been super stable since I've left. pH has been a little bit higher because there's less CO2 in our office. And that's kind of what's been going on with me.
okay, well, before we start getting into some of the things I talked about in the beginning, I did put up, as I do on these days, sometimes a question of what people want to hear about on
Hmm.
Facebook. So I want to hit on some of those to begin with, because there were some good ones in there. Let's see. We've talked about this before. Mark Schraner asked the pros and cons of running one Apex unit for separate systems that aren't attached to the same water or filtration system, and the pros and cons of having two Apexes in the same scenario. And also, Paul, you need to have a green screen so you can have fake tank behind you. That's what he said. So,
You know, I for the next live stream, I think we're going to probably try to start doing a little bit more video engagement over the next couple weeks. I'll try to have something unique. Trust me, guys, I am missing my fish. Right, I was in there the other day, just kind of like I get so much energy that I can turn around as I work through the day, as I'm writing documentation, helping customers. I can turn around and then see that tank,
and
and
see your
here I turn
microscopic
around.
fish.
Oh, come on. That's the fun part. It's
This
like,
is like
can you find them all? Right. So, if you guys don't
camouflage
know, I'm,
microscopic fish that swim on the underside of corals. That's Paul's
yes,
thing.
yes, yes. I really enjoy the Where's Waldo, Find the Fish. I have the Red Sea 170, right? It's a 34-gallon cube. There are 30 fish in it. And at any one time, if you can find more than 10, you're winning.
Yeah,
So
that's for sure.
it's a
So
lot of
Mark
fun.
Mark asked, what's the pros and cons, Paul, of running running if you've got, let's say, two or three different water systems.
Right.
We get this a lot of times in commercial situations,
Yes.
where they want to save money and they want to run multiple water systems off of
So
one apex. At home,
the
usually it's like
best
a quarantine tank and a regular tank.
the best way to think about this, first off, is how far in distance are the two aquariums from each other, right? If the answer is, well, they're right next to each other, okay, well then probably one apex is a great fit. If you're going to say 30 feet, 60 feet, at 60 feet, I say, you know what, this isn't worth it, right? Neptune Systems does sell a male 30-foot aquabus cable, and we do sell a male female 30-foot aquabus cable. So you could contain the two of those.
Hmm.
The second question is, if they are far apart from each other, right? How can you make a line go from point A to point B with an aquabus cable? If the answer is, well, I cannot do that, right? Well, then that again, we don't need to talk anymore. At this point, you're into two apex systems.
Well, let me back you up one step there. So
Hmm.
really, the first thing is, what am I going to need to buy if I want to do this?
Yeah.
And so it really depends on what you want to monitor. So some people don't want to have the full gamut of things, let's say, on their quarantine tank. They just want to
Right.
monitor the temperature and the pH of the tank, right? And if they're close together like that, they also can plug some of the devices, or the little return pump or the hang-on back on the quarantine tank or what have you. In which case, from a cost perspective, it actually makes sense in those cases, because a PM1 module is what you'll need to have, which monitors your
Hmm.
pH and your temperature. That's going to cost you $75, and then you're going to have a temp probe, which is $30, and if you want to run pH, it's going to cost you another $70 for a pH probe. And now you've got monitoring on that second tank. It's way more economical, obviously, than buying an entire separate apex. However, if you did
And
want to do all four, temp, pH, ORP, and salinity, and you wanted to do more switch inputs, whatever it may be, then you start to get where there's the cost, and then it's the redundancy, right, Paul?
right, exactly. That's one thing I was going to get to immediately, is just the redundancy factor, right? So if you have everything on one system, and let's say something were to you were to get water on the system, or water on the EB832, and there was a short on the system, right? That would take down both aquariums, right? You would know about it because you would get the heartbeat notification, get other alerts and things like that. But still, it's more to manage. Whereas if it's in two different systems, that one system is affected, right? So now, I gotta kind of stabilize things in that system, run manually until I can get that equipment replaced.
Well,
So,
moreover, Paul, too, is that when you do have a separate, so if instead of buying just as an example, right, it would cost you that $200 for that gear, basically, to run
mhm.
it separately, just temperature and pH, right? Well, you could spend
And we're
five
not
hundred
even and
dollars
we're not even adding an energy bar yet, Terrence, right? So
Right, that's
there's
what
no
I'm saying.
control there. So if you want heater control or something like that,
Right, and you don't have any outlets on the other one. But what I was going to say is, it's like for $500. Well, now I also get basically a backup apex. So if something happens to my main tank's apex, well, my quarantine
sure,
tank will probably be just fine for the week or week and a half while I'm sending it out for warranty or something. Or who knows what happens? Maybe just water splashes on your main one in the tank, and it takes it out. Well, you have
mm,
something right there and then that you can use as a backup, with an Apex EL at $500, and you get that extra energy bar, like you said. So those are the balances. There's not any one right or wrong answer in this case. There is one when I have a commercial account that says, look, I've got 10 separate water systems and I want to run them all off of one Apex. No, not the right thing
We
to do.
there is a formula, right? You know, in terms of what we coach our sales guys through in terms of designing those research systems, and you know, making it not only that it's economical for the customer, but also so it's actually usable. Yes, they could put 30 temperature probes on one system, and 30 pH probes on one system, but when you do that, you know, even for pros, it's just a lot of information to kind of
All that
go
stuff
through
on
on
the
the dash.
dashboard and to sort it and
Yes,
everything else for sure.
you know,
Uh,
so I will say, I will make a plug here. If you are a research institution, you are looking for an economical way to monitor your levels and control it. We get approached by research institutions literally every day at this point. You know, literally, it's something that we have always happening. I do recommend that you reach out to our sales team, and we can make the best recommendation for you to make a purchase, you know, through someone in your area, or make a purchase through Neptune Systems directly. So we have a lot of
okay.
options for you.
So a couple other ones, quick ones that I can answer. So Eddie Lush asked the UK market whether we're going to get the plug bar and the Trident. Well, I don't know about the plug bar, meaning the energy bar, because we don't talk about anything really that has yet to be formally announced. But as far as the Trident is concerned, you guys are going to get the Trident very soon, and they, you know, likely be there in a matter of a couple of weeks, probably, if it were not for this whole situation that we have.
Oh,
It
it
really
was
kind of
everything
messed you
was
guys
coming
up.
together. Everything was
Everything.
coming together. It was like, oh,
So close.
you know, we were so
So
excited to
close.
make a possible announcement. I'm
Uh,
probably saying more than I should at this point,
no, it's
but
okay. I mean, I mean, look,
it's
it is what it is right now, and we're right now in
so
just a huge backlog of stuff to get out to lots of people, and including
yeah.
the UK. And just hang in there, guys. We're doing the best we can on all fronts for your market. I know you think that we completely forget about you. We only partly forgot about you. No, just kidding.
No,
We
no, no, Terrence, no, we've never
That
forgotten
was
you.
a joke. That was a joke. It's a joke. But definitely we're doing everything we can. We'll come back online when we can, and you know, you guys will have tridents here, you know, as quickly as we possibly can, and then you'll be complaining about how there's not enough tridents coming in like everybody else, and we're doing the best we can on all fronts in that regard. Not much else I can say. Another
Right.
interesting one was from Jeff Bednarik. Okay.
Oh, our good buddy
Um,
Jeff.
Jeff, yes, and it's an interesting question, and I kind of wanted to go into it. He says the evolution of Neptune systems and the founder's backstory, what the founder does day to day in the company today. Interesting point is the founder of the company is Kurt Pansgrow, and so the interesting thing about it is he will not come on camera for an interview or for me to do kind of a little expose with him. And you know, I mean, even though it would be all softballs and you know super easy to do, he just will not do it. So he kind of stays, you know, on the other side of the camera as much as possible. As far as the background and what's going on, the story has been told before, but I mean, in kind of Cliff Notes fashion, Kurt is you know has a master's in electrical engineering out of Stanford. He moved here to stay permanently after he got out of school and started his family and whatnot, and worked for the high tech industry as I did prior, you know, prior to starting Neptune Systems. And he was a hobbyist, just like all of us. And there were a couple of solutions out there for controlling your aquarium at the time. This is back in 1995-ish, I think. Yeah, probably about 1995, if I remember the history correctly. It's definitely BT, but that's the story how it goes. And so he decided he didn't like how they were ripping people off in his mind with software and software upgrades and all of these unlock codes and whatnot to get features out of hardware that was right there. It was just software wasn't enabled in it. And so he decided to make his own. And when he did, he had some friends in the local club that said, "Hey, can you do one of those for me?" And so he did. And then pretty soon, other people said, "Hey, I'd like to buy one of those." And so he did. And he continued doing it on the side. And eventually it became a big enough business where he figured he could do that as his full-time thing. And, you know, it's just through the Aqua Controller, which was not the Aqua Controller 1, it was just the Aqua Controller, Aqua Controller 2, Aqua Controller 3 Plus, 3 Pro. I can't remember all of them. The juniors, Aqua Controller juniors, all of them, all the way up into the Apex. And then that's when the era of the Apex started, when I first got into the Neptune Systems world by buying one of those and meeting Kurt way back in 2009. And yeah, that's pretty much the origin of it as far as what Kurt does day to day these days. He does less of the administrative work that he used to have to do, so other people can do that, and he can focus more on the engineering. He is the chief engineer of the company and works on all the major projects that you see. All of the products, they all go through his hands, and he works tirelessly, way too many hours every day, to bring you guys great stuff. And right now, because there can be one person at an office out here to kind of keep the glue together for networks, and so home, bound people and whatnot can do what they can do. He's the Lone Ranger at the office right now. So,
Yep.
did I do
Yep.
a good enough job? Anything else you can add, Paul?
No, I think you covered it mostly. He is a hardworking boss. He leads by example for sure in terms of what his work ethic is and things like that. And right, I talked to him earlier today, and I said, "What are you doing, Kurt?" He said, "What do you think I'm doing? I'm working hard." I can't say what he was working on, but he was working on some exciting new stuff for you guys. And so he's really passionate about engineering and engineering about a hobby that he really loves. His first tank was a 300-gallon 600 gallon, somewhere between 3 and 600 gallons
Yeah, I can't remember.
SPS tank. He had a Croperas and Montiferas, long before any of us did, or most of us did.
He had a lot of the green Slimer. So
he had a whole tank full of that stuff, and he learned a lot of things, and as a lot of features that are available in the Apex, like power monitoring and all that stuff, are a result of his experiences, as a hobbyist. Yeah, Apex Classic was released beginning of 2009.
I think it was in middle, but okay, yeah.
Yeah, somewhere in the Mayish time of 2009.
Yeah.
I got my first Apex in 2010, and I started working for Kurt in 2011. So it's been a fun ride.
It has, absolutely. It's a lot different company now than it was when either of us started. That's for sure.
Yes. I'll never forget when you first came into the office and stayed there for a couple weeks.
Well, that's the thing too. Is that's a good piece of inside info, maybe.
Yeah,
too, which is I've come from a long line of scrappy companies that I've worked for, and I believe a lot in being frugal, in especially when you're trying to make things really happen, and you want to spend the money on the places where it makes the most sense. When I came out to work from Neptune Systems, I was still living in Utah at the time, working out of my home office, and I'd come out for a week or 10 days or whatever at a time. And I was like, no, I can't stay in a hotel. I need to make my office, so my office is the hotel. And we were on San Ignacio Boulevard in San Jose at the time, so it became deemed the San Ignacio Suites. And then subsequent to that, right, Paul, it became the
Cochrane Suites
when we moved to Cochrane, because it was still there, and now it's the Vineyard Suites. And everybody who's worked for me has had to basically camp out
when
in the office.
when you're a traveling sales guy, even today, right? You don't get to stay at a hotel. There's a gym across the street. If you need to take a shower, you can get the temporary gym membership, and we've got couches to sleep on. It's kind of like a rite of passage. So
yeah, it's definitely not the suits at Neptune.
No. We love it. We love it.
Okay, so there we go. There's a little bit of background on that. We do have the next thing is about let's see, it's the usual complaint about why are we still waiting? This is from Greg Chaya. Why are we still waiting on tridents and reagents after a year? So first and foremost, let's put aside what's happening right now, because that just threw a monkey wrench into everything, and it's going to have reverberating effects for a while. I'm sure there will be cynics out there that will say things like, well, yeah, of course they're going to use that as an excuse now. But the fact is that the Trident demand, even up until we had the situation, has still been extremely high. They went from being available for only minutes on the websites in the beginning, to maybe an hour, to now maybe 5 hours, or 8 hours on the various online websites. In the stores, they've gone from being already spoken for when they arrive to sometimes being on the shelf in a store now for a day or two. So they're not completely out of stock everywhere all the time, but they are still, in high demand. The reagents, I think we spoke about this before too, Paul, which was the the utilization of reagent. Although people were saying how much they'd love to turn it down to two
Hmm.
as a minimum, has been way higher than we had ever expected, and
Yes.
we've had to up our bottle orders like crazy to get enough bottles in. We've had to expand. We do our own bottling in house. We've changed everything on how we do this in it's not quite a year, 10 months or whatever. It's gone through a lot of evolution, and we really crank out the reagent now in a far higher quantity than we ever expected we would, in comparison to the number of Tridents that we ship. Now,
Yeah.
bringing us to right now to the situation that we're in with this, with the coronavirus situation. As I spoke about last week, these guys, when they got the notice at the office, they pumped everything they could out the door that was basically already bottled and ready to go, and got it out so it could get out into the channel. Um, it given what everybody else has been buying up until that point and what we pushed out there, we think people should be pretty much okay until we come back online on the 7th, and the bottling line and everything will kick back into gear and we'll start shipping again. So
Yeah.
doing the best we can.
Just a couple comments on that, Terrence, if I may.
Yeah, absolutely.
Uh, just in general, our big thing is to make sure reagents are always available, right? And up until Monday, the Monday, last week on the 16th, March
16th.
16th, they were, almost always available from shop.neptunesystems.com on our website if you needed reagents, right? And we could always ship the 2 months. Because the demand, just reiterating what you've already said, that demand has been so high. Yes, that means that some of the things that we had hoped that would go into 6-month packages to make sure reagents are available for everyone, they've gone into 2-month packages. With that being said, on Monday afternoon, when we got the order, we had 10 hours to make everything happen, guys. And fortunately, we got kind of the word on it before a lot of people. We were able to get a FedEx pickup scheduled for some of our biggest dealers and to send pallets of the reagents out. And if we had called literally 20 minutes later, they would have never picked them up, you know? So it was a mad scramble to make it happen.
And
Now,
this,
with that
and
being,
right now,
go
the
ahead.
BRS today, BRS themselves are a little bit behind as well. They're down quite a bit of people in their warehouse, even though they're still open. So they received their big order last week and didn't get it inbounded and ready to be purchased until today. So starting today, just about an hour ago, the first tranche of reagents went up on their site. They did sell out, but that was because what they're doing is they're pushing them out little by little. They're not going to throw them all on there and then have a run on reagents. So
Mhm.
you will see them come online. You'll see probably saltwateraquarium.com come online again. I think Marine Depot might have already sold out of what they had.
I'm not
But
sure.
most important thing is, first of all, if you already have a 6-month kit at home, please don't go buy another one. Let somebody else have it, right? If you've got enough to get you through the next couple of months, just let somebody else, pick up what they need, because there are people out there who are going to run out in the next week or two or what have you, and they're the ones that really want to get it. Don't go out and hoard up on a bunch of reagent.
And I think I can say this. Hopefully, I can. If I'm saying it anyways, we have plenty of reagents still in house, right? There's not going to be a reagent shortage as long as we can get back to work. You know,
Right,
and
we have big 50-gallon barrels of the stuff sitting there waiting to be bottled right now, and
yeah.
so it's just a matter of us being able to get in there and do it.
Yeah,
So
so there's
that's where
plenty of
we are on that.
reagent for what we shipped. There should be plenty of reagent for the next couple weeks. Absolutely, more than enough.
So next couple of questions are around that, which is obviously if somebody doesn't want to continue running their Trident through this time, maybe they are low on reagent, maybe they're going to be leaving their house for whatever reason and don't want it to run out while they're gone, whatever the reason may be. Harry Singer asks, what's the shutdown procedure for Tridents in case of reagent issues? Is there any benefit of running RODI through it to reduce precipitation or crystallization when you shut it down? So do you want me to put it on your screen share and you want to show people how
Yeah,
the
yeah,
wind down is
yeah.
again?
Let me turn that on real quick and go. All good?
Yep.
Is it working?
Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So,
Zoom in so that they can
okay.
see it a little bit
Yeah, no
better
problem.
because you need to like zoom.
We good?
Perfect.
All right, great. Trident is running, okay, and you are out of reagents. I refilled mine just recently, so I'm not too concerned about it. But you're getting an error that you're out of reagents. Okay. First off, there's probably a little bit more in there. Okay. We do send that notification out when it gets low. So, pro tip, real quick: how to reset a reagent bottle if you know there's more test in there and need to get a little bit more out. Click on the gear, go to Trident, go to reset, and then choose the one you want to reset, A, B, or C. Okay, that you're probably going to get maybe 2 or 3 more days out of your reagent bottle, after the error has come up and the Trident stops testing because it says you're close to, or if not out already. Okay, so that's one thing. Second thing is, if you do happen to run out of reagents, there is a Trident shutdown task. Okay, it walks you through everything you need to do. You click on the task icon, which is right here. I don't know if you can see my mouse, but you go click on the task button. You go down to Trident shutdown and follow the steps. Okay, and so we just essentially walk you right through it. In terms of taking the sample line out of the water, right? Taking the reagents out of the drawer, and all that. Shutting the drawer even.
When in doubt, go to the tasks icon
Yes.
and look to
Yes.
see if what you want to do is in the tasks list. That is, we repeat that over and over and over again, and hopefully every time it sticks a little bit more.
So, in terms of Harry's direct question of RODI, no, that is not necessary. Okay. Does it hurt anything to prime a sample with RODI water? No. Right. But do you need to do that? No. If for some reason you don't have internet
Explain
right
why
now,
not, Paul. Explain why not.
well, we purge all the lines in that process, Terrence, and the lines are so thin themselves, it's very unlikely any droplets get left behind or anything like that. Um, it's certainly possible, but it doesn't happen very often, right? So it catches 99% of the 99% of the liquid inside the Trident to be able to do that. If for some reason you don't have internet or need to do that, we also have all of these steps written down on our website at neptunesystems.com/get started. It's a Trident shutdown task,
Okay.
right? And it walks you through these same things in written, but then it also gives you the things that we do to the Trident while that's happening, right? So to how to do that from the settings menu and everything like that. Okay.
Okay.
So the Trident, right, is managing things in our aquarium, right, Terrence?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
changing,
So if you
changing how the dosing is, and or your calcium
exactly.
reactor, or however you might have it set up. Yes.
Exactly. And so, how do you kind of move forward, with Trident controlled dosing per se without the Trident,
Yeah. So you've
and
already you've wound down your Trident, right? Like you just showed, right? And you've shut it off and
mhm.
disconnected it and put it aside or what have you. But your tank, you're still keeping your tank going. It's just not going to have the Trident anymore controlling it. So you need to basically turn off Trident controlled dosing, right?
Yeah, and the way to do that, Terrence, is you just need to go and take a look at what you are dosing, okay,
Mm-hmm.
and and what is being delivered in a 24-hour period, right? And so I did that. I'm just going to show again. I did this by just clicking on dose calcium or dose alkalinity, okay, and it pulls up what's happened in the last 24 hours in my aquarium. So in the last 24 hours, right, I've done 29.7 milliliters of alkalinity. Then I want to take a look and say, okay, what did I do the other day? That day I was really far down, right, and did 37 milliliters. I made a mistake. I showed you the 24th. The 24th is not finished yet, right? So
Right.
so you have to go. You have to start and look at other days. So on the 22nd, right, you can see that I don't have everything selected here. So I'm going to select everything, and you can see I did 37 milliliters. Okay. On the 20th, I did.
This is super helpful, Paul. You know what? I didn't
Right.
even know this was how you use this screen. That's embarrassing.
So,
But I
so
totally can
on
see this now.
this day I did 36.2. Right. I go back to the 19th.
So to reiterate what this is how much of your alkalinity was dosed based around the results that it got off the Trident to automatically do it. So this is what the Trident, you know, calculated that your tank needed and kept steady for you on that day,
Right.
right?
So yeah, basically looking at 3 days here, I'm doing about 36.8 to 37 milliliters a day. Okay. Now let's go ahead and head over to my actual configuration, my programming. Okay.
Okay.
And so to do that, I'm going to go over here. I'm going to select my alkalinity pump. Okay. And this is what I dose in a 24-hour window. Okay. Bulk of my dosing is, during the middle of the day, right? But then, I do, 31 milliliters here. And so you can see, basically, I have it programmed to do about 36 milliliters, which is about what I need to have done. Okay. At this point, if I wanted to remove Trident controlled dosing, I just click on the gear button. I go to control interval. Okay.
Okay.
And then I want to say, I want to deselect automatically adjust. This is now because I don't have a Trident on here anymore. Okay.
So there's no task that does this that turns it off, and there's no like
Yeah.
overall switch to turn it off. I got to go to each
No.
one of the dosing windows in here and
Yes.
deselect that, and then hit OK. Okay.
Yeah. The concept of removing a Trident is not something that we really thought about during the evolving, or could we anticipate a situation that we're in like now, right? But you can
Right.
deselect that. Okay. And then now that's been removed. Okay. And then what I would want to do to my dosing, right, is after I deselect all of those, I just want to make sure I deliver about 37 milliliters a day,
Hmm.
because that seems to be exactly what it does. So I'm pretty much already doing that, and we should be pretty much good to go there. We
Okay.
can see that it's been keeping my alkalinity very stable, right? I basically hover around a DKH of 8 most of the time. And it falls down to maybe 795 and goes up to maybe 8.05,
Okay.
uh, so, and that's basically how, if you had to shut down the Trident but you still wanted to use your new settings, that's what you want to do. And as your tank grows, or as you raise the alkalinity, this is something you should always be kind of reviewing what your nominal dose is. And the nominal dose is the average amount that it doses in a 24-hour period, right? And the closer that nominal dose is to maintaining your target DKH level, right, the better the Trident is going to do at making sure that window of control is very tight.
Okay. Okay. Some real quickly, somebody asked, "What is how many gallons is your tank?"
34 gallons.
Okay. Another question. I think somebody asked, what would happen if you just unplug the Trident, or what happens if the Trident loses power?
Okay. So if you were just to unplug the Trident and you weren't to run the Trident shutdown task, is the Trident will get clogged. Okay. We always keep water in the lines, right, to make sure, and then purge that before every test. Okay. And reagent in the lines and all those sorts of different
Right.
things. So if it just sits idle for, what we say more than 72 hours, from personal experience, I can say it does go a little bit longer than that. But if it sits idle for a long period of time, it will get clogged. It is likely that clog will require service by Neptune systems to remove, unless you're very mechanically savvy, which we can coach people through, but we prefer not to. If the sample line stays in the water, right, during that
Hmm.
time, and you don't shut it down, you're going to be better off but you're still going to probably get a clog if you don't take care of it in a fast time, in a rather quick time.
Very, very good. Very good. Okay, let's see here. I'm just seeing if there's any other questions kind of in that vein. I think we pretty much hit on it all. As Paul kind of, he kind of rushed over this one part. If you do get out of reagent A alert, you can do the reset on it, and it will continue to use what is left in the bottle there, but then it will run itself out, right? And you'll get an error, obviously, when that happens. But you may get another
Right.
couple of days out of it.
You'll get a couple more days. What will happen specifically, Terrence, is let's say, I'm out of reagent A and I reset reagent A because I know I have a little bit more in there. What will happen is you'll eventually get a test fail day because we think there's still reagent in that container and we're trying to dose and we think droplets are going in, but they're not actually going in. And so the titration itself will fail. Not a big deal. When you do get the reagent, you can replace it. And then just power cycle your Trident and it will start testing again.
Yep. Oh, look, Jay Foosh says, any hints on new equipment? No, man, you'd have to go out and read stuff online for that. We don't discuss anything that hasn't been formally announced. So, other than briefly dealing a few weeks ago with one little article, but other than that, we're kind of hush hush.
Somebody was very resourceful, Mr. Dave.
Yes. Trying to see, are there other? Here's a good question. Have we done any new NSI selections? We haven't picked the next NSI group yet. What I can say is there's going to be some good stuff coming. I would not doubt that we're going to have probably 4 or 5 good NSI projects this year still. And that's not really giving anything away. It's just we got a lot of stuff cooking. The Trident situation with all the heat we took around that basically got us to a point where we don't discuss anything anymore, and that's kind of sad because it used to be kind of fun. But now we don't want.
Trust me,
we don't want the pain for it.
Guys, this is killing Terrence. All right, like every day, he wants to be able to talk about what's coming, and everything else like
Put
that.
Your camera back on, Paul. Flip off.
Oh, okay. So I miss saying things about it as well. But I think in general, there's a lot less pressure, external pressure that we don't experience. Internally, we're still very hyper-focused.
Flip your camera back on, Paul, instead of your screen.
Oh, sorry. How do I do that? Sorry, guys.
Okay.
All right.
There's no
cool.
sense in looking at the screen. It's not going to change for a while. Okay.
Yeah.
So there's that. I'm looking at what else do we have here. Oh, okay. So I'll actually flip to split screen on my stuff here in a second. I'm going to go in and I'm going to first look at some of these, and then I'll flip it over to you that we'll look into some of them. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to talk about celebrity apexes. Let's first go in here, and I'm going to screen share here. Paul, are you able to still see my screen here?
Yeah. Yes, I'm able to see you. I'm not able to see your screen.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I don't know why that's the case. We did work that out.
We got this working, didn't we?
I thought so. Let me see what the deal is here. Share screen. Let's try that one. That should work. Now, do you see it?
I see it. I see me too, though. So make sure you mute Skype.
We're good. Yeah, we're good on the main screen, and both of our guys are working. So that's good. All right. So one of the interesting things about being, an employee of Neptune Systems or somebody that knows what's going on with apexes all the time, Paul, myself, various support people, is you meet a lot of people. You have a lot of friends, a lot of industry friends. You help them out, all days of the week when they're having apex issues or they want to know how to do something. So you end up with a list like mine here, which is not probably nearly as long as Paul's or some of the support guys, that has a bunch of people in it that some of you guys may recognize. For instance, this is Richard Back, aficionado. So this is his. We've got Cody Bean from the Southern California Marine Aquarium Society who's having router problems right now. That's why he's disconnected. In fact, when I look at this today, a lot of times I look at this list, and because these are friends of mine, I'll see something wacky on their system, and I'll go, "Hey, did you know that your tank isn't connected right now? What's going on?" And they're like, "You're watching?" I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely." I don't want a friend of mine to have their tank crash or anything. You'll see there's Tom's, right? Dynasty Corals. Which is Josh at Dynasty. That's his. You can see my quarantine tank, which is the firmware is not up to date. That's actually an Apex Classic. George Kiriki. Okay, you know what I'm talking about. I'm going to go to the next page, and we're going to go into a couple of these. I just kind of want to show them to you guys first. Who else is here? And some of them I forget. Here's Jimmy out of Vegas. He's got a Seahorse tank, his big Reef tank, and his big cylinder tank, and his entry. Nick Klass, who basically was the founder of Build My LED, right, Paul? He has one on his pool right now. He has this like mega pool. He's building a big 700-gallon aquarium right now, but he's got it on one on his pool right now, LAX Aquarium. There's Raj from down there in MRC. There's Rev, that's the owner and chief architect, Reverend in charge of Reef to Reef. So he's on here. We've got Rich's Secret Home Lab, Rich Ross and Sanjay's, my buddy out in Utah, a couple of them. And then if any of you know about Abiz Pumps, this is Alex's tank out in Germany with Abiz. And then looky there, there's Miliv from Miliv's Reef. So his is on here too, and saltwateraquarium.com has, I'm watching their tank. So very interesting that, oh, I'm getting double microphone from Paul when he speaks now. So it must be because it's coming through.
Yeah,
it's
mute the Skype window right behind there, Terrence.
Oh, the Skype window behind. How do I do that? I don't know how to do that. On the Skype window. I don't know how to do it on the Skype window. Oh, well. Anyway, so here's all of these. So what's really interesting to do, and I'm going to have Paul kind of come in and drive this a little bit after I look around on his side. He's going to drive it. We're going to try to find what people are doing wrong or doing things that they could improve on. So I'll click right in here, for instance, on Alex, and I'll make an example of Alex first. So here's Alex's tank. Look at that. His salinity probe is working. So those of you that say the salinity probe doesn't work, salinity probe is working. Let's see what it's looked like over the last period of time. Look at that. It's been working. Interesting thing on this, for those of you that think that this is crazy time, what his salinity is, well, I can assure you that his salinity has been between 33.5 and 34.8 over a 7-day period, which, you know, basically means it's plus or minus less than 1 ppt, which is more than good. That is not a failure in the probe. That is just natural tank occurrence, and probably when you see his ATO, you'll see that occurs there. So let's see what else he's got going on here. He's got his temperature is in Celsius, right? He's got his Trident on there, which is awesome. So you can see everything that's happening on the Trident. His alkalinity is running a little bit low. What else? You can see he's running lanthanum chloride. He's running all sorts of good stuff. By the way, he put vodka in a DDR the other day. Do not do that. It had the message in there, said do not use solvents, and he's a really smart guy, so I'm making fun of him right now too. So Alex is super smart engineer. He gets the paper in there. It says do not use solvents, or what's the stuff in Red Sea? I can't remember. You know, and basically said don't use that, but he still filled it with vodka and cracked it. So anyway, his actually looks pretty good. So I think I'm going to pass it over to Paul, see if Paul's got some examples to make of somebody else, because Alex's actually looks quite good. He does have well, no, I got the double time. He doesn't have a screen for his camera like some of us do. But let me pop it over to you, Paul, and you can look at one of them and tell me what you think of somebody's. Let's see here. I'll tell you when you're on. All right, it's on Paul right now. Paul, you can share a screen, and you can go take a look at somebody.
All right, no problem. Let me turn on my screen real quick. Terrence, maybe if you mute your computer, it'll stop the double mic, I'm thinking.
Mute the computer. Well, the computer mic is muted on my app. Let me see here. Yeah.
So, Terrence, this gives me a great opportunity though to show
Hmm.
a great feature in Apex Fusion before we get started. Can you see my screen right now?
Hang on.
Yeah.
You told me to go mess with my. Yeah, I do. Okay, I see it.
Okay, cool. One of the things that makes it really easy for our support team to help you out, right? And with our support team helping you out, we can give you the best support because we can log into your Apex. Okay, and one of the first things we typically ask in the support process is for you to authorize us on your system. Okay, and to be able to do that, it's really easy. Normally most of you know when you are on your Apex dashboard. Okay, so you're here on your Apex dashboard. All you need to do is go to your Apex list. Okay,
Hmm.
here's my tank right here, 0RS170, and you can go support access. You
So,
click
so
on
let me
that.
stop you there. Hang on a sec. This is the
Yeah,
joke. This is the joke of us in the office, always trying to one up each other to get apexes to the top of the list. So that's why you see all the
yes,
zeros and the underscores and everything else, because basically when you look at your list, you want it to be your stuff to be on the top. So
right.
that's why you see that on all these apexes. It's pretty
So
funny.
we all have zeros in the front of our names. So when we're just trying to do our own stuff because we have so many other people, I don't need to see a secret home lab at the top, right? Rich
Right,
Ross's aquarium, right? I want to see my aquarium, so it starts with the zero. Now, don't everyone
right.
go out there and start putting zeros in front of their names, okay? That's
Because it
only if you have
falls.
a that's only if you have a ridiculous number of apexes. All right. So no funny stuff if you're in my account. Anyhow, right here, if you click on that gear in the drop down, and you can do this from your phone, anything else, you can click on support access. All right. You click on support access, and then you can, there are 4 different levels you could grant us. Okay. You can, if you don't trust us, we can just watch it. Okay. If you trust us for some reason, but you want us to be able to turn things on and off, you can give us control, which is the next level. Program is you can actually get into the configuration of the system and things like that. And then manage is the ability to be able to see everything, right? To be able to add users, is to be able to do all sorts of different stuff. And it's really where our support guys need to be able to understand the full nature of your system. But because we don't want anyone to involuntarily make that, mistakenly make that decision, it is a choice you need to make. So set us to manage, okay?
And this goes,
And
a good point to make here too, Paul, is that this goes for you. You know, obviously you can set this up for other people that can see your tank
I
as
was
well.
I was gonna show that in just a second. Yeah.
I know, but I just want to say one thing on this that was interesting is because I didn't pull Milev's up, but he actually is the one person I've seen who has done this correctly in terms of
Yes.
not having full access to a whole bunch of different people. So he's done that really well. So props to Milev
So
out there on the live stream.
manage, because we were going to try to look at his system when we were talking about this and realize that he only gave us view permission, so we couldn't do everything we wanted to do. But that's okay, and we can't see anybody's apex. I want to say this, so tinfoil hat, if you have that on and now you're conspiring of like how Neptune Systems is trying to get all of your information and looking how your tank, we can't do any of this until you go in there and authorize us to do this. Okay, your tank is your own, right? And we can't see any of your data or anything like that unless you give us permission to. So you can set us to manage, and you click OK, and now you are in the support view, which has many, many thousands of apexes. That was a quick view real quick. I don't need to get into the details there. It can get a little scary. And if you want to give other users, right, on your dashboard, click on the people icon. You see the 2 people hanging out there called authorizations? You can click on that, and then now you can see all the people that are authorized to work on my aquarium. Man, I'm a really trusting guy, you know. And you can see here, I got some engineers on there. If there's something I'm seeing that's kind of strange, I want to notify them. They can take a look. I have my support manager on there. I have Russ on there. I got Terence on there for some reason. Let's change Terence to view real quick. That is someone you don't want to give too much. You don't want to give him too much liberty here.
I wonder if we lost
Uh,
the stream on YouTube or something because we just went from like 130 viewers to like 40 viewers, and I don't see any
they're
more
lost.
comments coming. Well, there I guess saw another YouTube comment come in, so I don't know. Anyway,
So yeah. So I digress. But that's how you. Oh, look at this guy. Somebody just who did this? Who did
Oh,
this?
that's hilarious, man. That is so
Oh man,
hilarious.
that is
Is this somebody in our office?
Mark. No, that
Oh,
is
from
Mark
Dynamic
from
Tank?
Dynamic Tank. Yeah, and I know it's always I know it's always a Mark tank because he puts the image that it is his aquarium in all of his Apex Fusion dashboards.
Oh my
So good
gosh.
one, Mark. Really, really good one. A really good one there. Anyhow,
All right, so which one we're gonna
uh,
make a statement about, and then we'll get this live stream closed out, man.
let's take a look at my our good buddy Richard Ross.
Okay.
Okay, so he posted a really good image. How he feels like oh gosh, what was the guy from the Matrix? Neo. He feels like Neo
Yes.
from the Matrix when he looks at. So
Yes.
first thing wrong with Richard here is his firmware is out of date.
And so
We
you
should
know that
all,
because it's got that little arrow there. It should just look like
yes.
a gear. If it was up to date, it would just have a gear.
Yes, and so you can click on update available, right? And and he's very trusting of me, so I could update his Apex
No,
remotely. I would
that's
never do that
no.
though. So so
Right now,
Richard,
if he's still on this stream, he is freaking out right now, which I love.
yeah,
Okay.
right,
But
right. So Rich is a bona fide control freak. Full on. He's got issues, and we can know that he's got issues here by going to his system view. Okay, well, Terrence's favorite view.
ugh.
Terrence loves to look at apexes like this, and I can't keep Rich. I mean, I can't even get Rich's whole system view on one screen, as you can see.
I tried
Okay,
to use
but
this
we'll know
screen just the other day for my waves, okay? And I was just
this
hoping
is a
all the
great. You
okay, it's a great screen. Why aren't all the waves like in a category in a group of waves, not just all like
because
separate, and all the
their
doses
their
like
number.
together in a category of doses because they're
Mr.
all the same
Fugazi.
thing.
I wish people could see my unapproving face right now.
I just ugh.
Anyways,
Go ahead.
we
Sorry.
know Richard has problems because we just need to look at his control freaks, his control freak outlets. I mean, virtual outputs. If you have more than 8, you're a freak. Okay. So he's got a number of virtual outlets here, and all of those are to do different things. Like, why would you ever want to turn disco on? Like, why is that a feature you would ever want to put under your aquarium, Rich? But then a lot of them are great, So he's got things to notify him about a skim or the door being open. That for some reason has he wants to turn on all of his pumps to 100%. He can do that. And then he's also got his Trident controlling his calcium reactor, and he does that through the Dwayne method, the Dwayne Oosterreich method. I think I said, isn't that how you're supposed to say?
It's Ostrike. It's two
Okay.
syllables, I think.
Ostrike, he's a great guy.
Yes.
Using Dwayne's method of the calcium reactor control through the Trident, which is a great method to do it. Terrence does it a little bit differently, but he uses this and goes from there. And then you can just see kind of all the outlets that he has,
So
right?
is he doing
So
anything
he's
he
got.
shouldn't be doing, Paul?
Well, the problem is I've shamed him so many times now that I don't think he has anything in there that I would now. I mean, he's got outlets named the same name right there. So let me see if I can.
Ooh.
So I see if I. He's got 2 outlets named Bad Outlet. There are going to be bad outlets now, regardless of what he does, because they have the same name. So if he turns one off or on, they're both going to turn off or on.
Oh,
Every
really?
outlet needs to be unique. So if you name outlet number 1 on all of your energy bars, outlet number 1, and you turn them on, all your outlet number 1s will turn on.
Oh, that's a feature.
Yeah, it's a feature. Exactly. Um, so he's got multiple EV8s here. But this is not necessarily a good person to. I like that he calls it skim foo, right? That's the skimmage. He had to call it foo, just so he would know, what it
I
is.
I think
Um,
I think that's simply because we have a limit for 6 characters and it's skim full.
no, I
And
think it's skim foo. It's
oh, okay.
probably it's probably his skim waste. He just wanted to be reminded of you every
Me
time
every time he
that his
hears
skimmer
about
is full.
yes,
Every
of the
time his
poo.
skimmer is full of the poo.
Yes,
uh,
the
poo.
foo poo. Yes.
So Rich is not a great example of
So
someone who
here's a
isn't
perfect
doing things.
example. Paul, this is a perfect example. I'm just going to interrupt you. Kindred Reefer says, so over my head now. Exactly. You look at this screen and it's like you want your brain to implode. But I get it. Okay.
For control freaks like myself, who understand everything, this screen is a blessing. I can see everything at one place, and it helps me understand. And it's from a support perspective, it's the first place I go now, right?
Yeah, I can see
So I can
that.
get a full comprehensive understanding of what the system. I don't have to go to module view. I don't have to go to outlet view. I can see everything I need to see right there.
So what can we turn off or on Rich's tank that that'll freak him out? Just
Terrence,
kidding. Just kidding.
Terrence, Rich trusts me, and I don't want to change that.
You want to break that trust? Okay.
I don't want to break that level of trust that we have.
Mark Levinson, so Mark Levinson said, "Ozone, brah." LOL.
Yes, he does run Ozone. He fully believes in it. I've argued with him about it before. I think you have as well. Oh, look, he even controls.
Rich doesn't run is macroalgae because he doesn't think it works, but he runs calc. He runs everything. So.
Oh, dude, Terrence, he uses his Apex to for your guys' podcast that you do, the Skimate podcast. Look, he's got an outlet there called Podcast Light, right? So he uses his Apex just for the podcast of when he's ready, to do things right. It's ready for him.
He's crazy, man.
Anyways, his tinfoil hat is being probably thoroughly reinforced.
Look at this alkalinity, dude. Look at that. Just go back.
Okay, I'm going. Oh, I went to the foos tank. We don't want to look at that tank.
I'm the worst example of what to do.
Yeah. You don't want to go there, people. It's like when Terrence says he's having a problem, we draw straws on who's going to help him deal with it.
Yeah, look at this alkalinity.
So he had a big jump today. I don't know, or yesterday. I wonder what that was about.
He probably bolus dose because for whatever reason he's got that trailing alkalinity there. Does he have? I don't think he has triad controlled dosing because he's using his calcium reactor.
He doesn't, but he does have. So we go in here. We can go and compare, and then I'm going to type in the word alk. He's got calc. So did you do anything with calc? No. Let's see if he's got any dose. LC dose. So that's lithium chloride. He does. That is something I wouldn't mess with. Lithium chloride.
Does so much crazy stuff.
Only science people seem to mess with lithium chloride. Anytime that I see, and then they usually have to say is it didn't work right, and I overdosed, and I caused a bunch of issues.
Tanks. Yeah.
So he probably did something here. He might have also changed out reagents and just hasn't calibrated yet. Right. So the new batch of reagents has a little bit different consistency than the old batch. Right. So that's also possible.
So you didn't hear this, but there, the sound effects here. So Matt Giles says, hey, that's horn. Because when you said the disco effects, I played the DJ horn. He says that horn sound you played a minute ago was crazy loud. And my surround sound, since Neptune doesn't make pants, you owe me another shirt. That's pretty good. So
here, I'm going to turn off the. I'll turn off the screen share.
We got to wind this. We got to wind this down here, Paul, and wrap it up. And let's go back to you. And it's been fun today, guys. Thank you for giving me some questions to tee up and some things that we could do. We'll be on again in 2 weeks, if not sooner. But for sure, 2 weeks from today. I don't want to commit to anything, but there may be a spontaneous one before then. And I guess
I'm not
2 weeks
giving you my number. I'm not going to give my number or anything. I'm not ready to take it to that level.
Exactly. So what does that make it? I'm looking at my calendar here. Does that make it April 3rd? I guess. What time?
Isn't it 7th? Isn't it the day we're back in the office?
Yes, it's the 7th. Yes, you are right.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't know if I'm trying to have a live stream that day, Terrence. I don't know if I can book it.
That's going to be one crazy day. I tell you what we're going to do. I tell you what we're going to do. If we're back to work, we will do the live stream. You don't have to worry. You go take care of all the stuff that needs to happen or whatever. But I'll pull out the gimbal and I'll go around as best I can without giving any secrets in the backwoods of the back rooms of Neptune Systems away and see all of the stuff going on to try to get people's orders out the door.
All the people stressed
and
out.
And a tank update.
Me.
Yes, all the stressed out people, and a tank update. We've got a bunch of tanks that have been doing really well since the last time I've done a tank update in the office, and we'll do that for sure. So, anyway, with that, I think that's it for today, Paul. We're gonna
You know,
wrap it up.
Terrence, you're going to show tanks doing well because they've been running on apexes and no one's been around to take care of them.
That's true. That is true.
That's what you're going to show.
That is true. They are all
Because,
taking care of
you know,
themselves, and we
because
know what's happening there, and there is no anxiety because everybody knows what's happening in their tanks,
I'm
and they're not even there.
not stressed. Yeah,
No
and
stress.
unlike some people say you don't need automation, you don't need gadgets, to have a successful tank when you're away from them for 3 weeks. I think we're going to have to show what happens when you are
Yeah,
away for 3 weeks and you do have an apex.
there's no anxiety, but
All
of
right.
course I've got mine right here though. So I
Hey, come on, man. Just tone it down. All right, we're going
All
on.
right. All right, guys. Take care. Stay safe with the family. Stay out of public places if you can.
Please,
Unless you absolutely have to
please.
be out and about. And we'll see you guys in 2 weeks for sure. And this is, Let's Talk Reef with Paul and Terrence. We'll see you next time. Take care. Enjoy those fish.